Okay, my queens, I think I am going live as we speak. I love just waiting for the awkwardness, those moments of just pure awkwardness when you first begin a live stream where you're like, is it working? Can everyone hear me? All of that kind of stuff. I am just going to give this a minute so that everyone can just bear with me while this is connecting, because I've had a bit of a history with Zoom and Facebook Live connecting through. Not that I really need to, but I just really don't like going live through Facebook. If anyone agrees with me, totally give it to me. I would love to know. Hello and happy Monday. Before we even begin, let's just download and celebrate that this is a whole new week. I'm just going to take my watch off because it is already annoying me with a million notifications coming through. Let's just take a deep breath, feel into this week. I know I dropped in at the beginning of last week about channeling a message for the group and it being quite financial, anxiety, stress-based, moving through this next phase of life, which is Christmas and New Year's and what happens to business over this break. If you haven't listened to Michelina and I's latest podcast episode, we actually did cover this with some of my suggestions of what I get my clients to do to ensure that they have got that coverage over that Christmas break. And it's a good podcast episode. It's a little bit more serious than the one before that, because we just had so much to talk about and strategies and systems that you can implement to make sure that you are not feeling stressed financially, regardless of what time of the year it is. And I love that we're getting great feedback for the podcast. So thank you to those that are listening to those. I'm absolutely loving that. If you are here and you are watching live, I would love to check back through the comments and see who was here. So interact with me. I hate it when it's like just me talking to a screen. So please feel free to let me know if you are watching it live. If you're watching the replay, just interact as if you're watching it live, because I am going to be replying to everyone's comments and questions as we go through. This masterclass that we are going to cover today is all about brand trust, building personal trust with your audience. This is such an important subject for anyone who is looking to build their business through social media, through the digital space. The things that I'm going to cover today are transferable to in-person events and in-person business to business or customer service based. You can utilize this, but my primary focus for today is to cover off that this is mostly based on social media and in the digital space, particularly social media, because I know that the majority of us are running our businesses and utilizing social media as a vessel for that, which I love. I love social media, you know that I do. So those of you that are new to this space, who have joined Mission Driven Women, or who are attending this masterclass and haven't seen me before, I am Stacey Walker. I am a business mentor to spiritual entrepreneurs, and I also run a digital marketing business. I'm a huge digital marketing nerd, but I also do call myself the anti-digital marketing nerd because I like to do things differently. I don't necessarily like to follow trends. I like to look at the data. I like to research consistently to see what's happening with consumers and business at all times. I love being on top of so many different things when it comes to the industry of business and getting things out into the online space. So a lot of what you hear from me can be controversial. The things that I'm talking about today come from my many, many years in graphic design and building up brands, working in digital media and in the public relations type space. And so what I've developed over the years is a particular way that I teach people to build brand trust. Now, there are so many different facets to building brand trust, especially on social media, that it is hard to cover that in a condensed masterclass session like this. It really does warrant having a multiple day intensive experience to really learn and to learn how to develop it in your particular instance of business. Now, if that is something that you are interested in, if you would like to deep dive this, you don't have to answer right now. At the end of this, if you're like, right, I loved all of this information and I need to know how I actually use this within my business, and you need a little bit more support, just let me know, because you know I love training. I love education. I love working with my clients as well, of course, but I love this education space and I love that I get this platform to be able to share this information with you. So if that is something you're interested in, let me know, because I would love to be able to dive into this in a lot greater detail than I'm able to. And I know that I prattle. For those that have attended my sessions live previously will have a giggle right now and know that I hardly ever stick to time. And when I actually did say to someone I was hoping to get this through in 30 minutes, like quick, done, they laughed at me, which wasn't very nice, but I understand why, because I tend to go on and on and on. And like I said, there is so much information, but I do just want to cover off on the basics today so that you start to develop an understanding and awareness of how everything that you're doing and everything you're saying and how you're showing up, how that actually impacts the trust that you're building on social media. So that the reasons why do we even want to build brand trust? Why is this in our consciousness? Why do I want to talk about it? There's a lot of stuff. There is so many reasons why building brand trust is so important to us. Now, the first one is purely just that when you do develop brand trust with your audience, they see you as someone who is trustworthy, right? So it doesn't feel like such a jump or a risk to invest in you, your products, your services, whatever your business looks like. There will be less hesitation, and in most cases, no hesitation for people to say, yes, take my money, the meme, right? Like, yeah, shut up and take my money. That is the vibe that you will get when you do build brand trust with your audience. People will be more than willing to pay you for an exchange of your energy, for your services, for your product, because you've made them feel safe. You've made them feel safe to spend money with you. And that is a huge thing. And if you are already doing that and you feel like you're confident in that scenario, I just want to honor that. Like, I really just want to take a second to sit down and honor that, because this is a huge thing to make consumers feel safe. Massive. The next part of why brand trust really does work is that you'll see them not only participate in spending money with you, investing in your programs, participating in your services, having sessions with you, you'll start to see that the investment level does increase with that brand trust. If they've had an experience with you and it's been amazing, then that's great. Absolutely awesome. But then you'll start seeing when you are changing up your strategies to increase your revenue, to, scale your business. And I hate that term because lots of coaches are using that, to nail and scale and all of that sort of stuff. When you're starting to scale your business, you'll start including things like bundles, upgrades, VIP options, and those sorts of things. And so building brand trust really does develop that scalable action within your business as well. And that is a huge thing that we really do need to be conscious of, especially those that are like chugging along in their business and are like, people are buying, my programs are filling, my events are going well. What do I do next? And scaling through bundles, upgrades, and specials like that are really something that you can do to implement that. And trust will just see that as such a seamless, beautiful process. And you've probably heard me say before, I think I said it on the podcast last week, that spiritual entrepreneurs kind of suck at sales. And, we aren't really confident in promoting ourselves and selling ourselves at the same capacity as someone who is fully trained in sales and automation of conversation, connection building, even negotiation skills training. I've done negotiation training previously, and I can tell you I've learned it a lot over the years in sales, but I'm trying to unlearn it. I'm trying to transform the way we learn sales in the spiritual community so that we can do sales that feel freaking good. And part of all of that I teach with feeling good with sales is building trust, because it feels like such a seamless consumer process that it doesn't feel like you're trying to promote and sell your soul and feel yuck when it comes to sales. So this whole process will help with that side of things as well. Not only that, you'll see people starting to return if someone's attended an event or they've purchased something from you and they've had a freaking great experience. They're going to come back for more if you've got more to offer them. which is really important. And another part of that is that they become an advocate. They recommend your services or your products to people. They are just so excited by what you're doing that they are shouting it from the rooftops. You've got those people probably already in your life that are tagging you in groups when people are looking for a particular service or a product, and you get tagged. Those are your advocates, and those are the people that need to be celebrated because they are amazing, because they're loving what it is that you're doing. You can also set up actual affiliate programs for those advocates of your brand and your business, so that in turn they get rewarded for the work that they're doing to share what it is that you do out there in the world, which is another part of scaling your business that I definitely do recommend looking into. So that's a really, fun thing. But the most important out of all of this, what I find, and I know I talk about connections a lot. I used to be called the connection coach. That's like what people dubbed me many years ago, was because I constantly was like on and on and on at my audience about building connection. Doesn't matter if it's on social media or if it's in a blog post, if it's in YouTube, like in person, whatever that is, you need to be building connection and building relationships. And what happens when you are building brand trust and you're working through these layers of brand trust that I'm going to go through today, you'll see those relationships with that core audience really strengthen. And to me, that is the most valuable asset in your business, is those relationships with your audience that some people just don't focus on. And you can feel that. You can feel that they don't engage with their audience and that they're not really there. They kind of just post because they have to, and that's about all you're getting out of it. For me, I love conversations. I know, not shocking, right? The person that can talk until the cows come home. I can talk underwater. Constantly in my school reports as a kid, I was always told by my teachers that I talk too much. Well, how's that going for me now? Hey, I make a living, a very great living, by educating and talking a lot. So I feel like if I happen to see any of my old primary school teachers, just be like, yeah, it's actually going really well. Thanks for telling me off all the time, telling my parents that I was such a talker. All right. So actually getting into the information there. So yes, the benefits. You can see that this is such an important part of business. So how do you actually do that? What does it look like? Well, I've developed my 6 layers of personal trust. And this is what I walk my clients through when we're really starting to strategize and implement the trust building with our audience. This is a huge thing that, again, I wish I had several hours to go through with all of this and explain to you how you actually do all of this. So again, put your hands up. Tell me in the comment section if you would like some sort of multi-day event on doing this and implementing this. I love teaching this. And I think that because there are so many facets of this, it's really hard to get to all of it. And then if you're talking about e-commerce, for example, there's a whole extra part of the layers of this that it still comes under those 6 layers, but there's so much more that can be learnt from your customer experiences and all of those sorts of things, which I don't have time for today. But I'm very mindful that I'm here and I'm trying to give you as much value. So if you do have a pen and paper, or you've got your iPad and you want to take some notes, absolutely go for it. I hate turning up to those sessions where the coach or the person who's presenting is like, today we're just unplugging and we're just focusing completely 100% on the information. I don't want you to take notes. I'm like, for me, I need to take notes to absorb anything. Even if I'm just doodling while I'm listening to people, it makes me absorb that information so much better. So if you need a moment to grab a pen and paper and take some notes today, I am not judging you. I'm not feeling like you are not present in this conversation or in this training. I just want you to be really comfortable and try to absorb this in the way that you want to. I know Facebook try to incorporate captions into live videos now, which I have ticked. If it's not coming through with captions, I'm so sorry for those that are needing those captions here. I will make sure that they are available for the replay. Absolutely 100%. I want all of my trainings to be as accessible as possible to every single person that needs it. So Let me know if the captions aren't coming through on live, and I'll make sure that they definitely are in the replay. I'm so sorry if they're not, because I know that in this world we need to be make our content as accessible to everyone. So get your notes ready. The first one that I'm going to talk about today through the layers of trust is, and it's a tricky one. Again, there is so much to talk about in this one, but it's how you use your personal power and your leadership. And this is a huge key, because I know so many that come to me don't feel like they do have good leadership skills, and they don't feel like they're of influence, and that they probably aren't as powerful as they want to be or should be or even could be. So this one, it is a tricky one to start straight off with, because I want you to feel confident with your leadership skills. That's a whole other training session. But today, the first layer is your leadership. And that takes on so many different forms. I'm covering off on a few subsections of this today, but know that there is so much more to developing your leadership in the online space that we just do not have time to cover today. The first note that I took about this particular subject, about using your leadership, is the 80-20 rule. And you have probably heard this a million times before, where 80% of your content should be education, inspiration, connection-based, even entertaining to some degree, and 20% of your content should be sales and promotion. Let me know if you've heard that before. I've talked about it a lot before. It seems to be the industry standard. I tend to, when doing content planning for my clients, I actually tend to make their feed content more like 1% promotion in feed content. And this is for your public. I'm not talking groups here in this particular instance. I'm talking about your public, business profiles on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. I tend to lower that percentage for promotion and sales so much more. But when it comes to stories, I want you to really use your stories and try and use your stories every day to point your audience to a particular product or service every single day. I know I challenged some of you recently to do it a couple of times a week, and that felt kind of weird in the beginning, but the audience that sees your stories today aren't going to be the same people that see it tomorrow, and people might miss things. So it's not always 100% of your audience that sees 100% of your content. So for stories, absolutely throw away the 80-20 rule, because that doesn't kind of work. No, I'm not saying 100% that you should be promoting in your stories, but it's kind of a different strategy. So when I'm talking about the 80-20 rule, or like my 99-1 percentage for feed content, I find that it is so important. And there's a reason for that. There is absolutely a reason for that. I've tracked the data. I've looked at the statistics. I've looked through insights. I've trudged through many accounts worth of data to have a look at promotional content in a news feed. And it's been mostly Instagram and Facebook, I'll be quite honest. LinkedIn is a whole other grown-up aunt that, when we talk about the personalities of platforms, whole other thing. Particularly on Instagram and Facebook, what I've seen through that data is that the sales and promotion type posts go pretty much without a lot of engagement. When done well, you can point people or invite them to see more. If you're using content to educate and inspire, then absolutely you can point people. But the thing that, even as a consumer, I love Instagram, I love scrolling through people's content. The thing that irks me is when I am looking at someone's content, I'm really inspired by what they're saying. And then at the end, it's like, oh, I have a program that talks about this, link in my bio, join, blah, blah, blah. But then it's not just that one post, it's constant. And I look through their content, and every single post they're trying to sell. Now, call to actions on content is a completely different thing. And if you've done any social media training with me previously, you'll know that I am a big advocate for call to actions on social media. But in this instance, don't do it every single time. If you want to follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your content is education, inspiration, entertaining, and 20% is sales, that's fine. That's not something I allow my clients to do. Like I said, it's the 1% of promotion that I slip in with my clients when we're working in feed content. And that there is a particular reason for that. Again, it's providing value. If you are educating and inspiring your audience, and then you drop that you've got a program or a course coming up, or that you've got an evergreen in your stories and people are connecting with that, fantastic. But when you're dropping it in your feed content, it just falls on, most of the time, no inspiration. It just doesn't feel great for your audience to be sold to. So I would definitely suggest you using your feed content to inspire, educate, and provide value. Now, the value that you give to your audience builds trust. There is an absolute reason why everyone does want to provide value with their content. They want to teach you something. They want to give you value because it is building brand trust. It's increasing your skills as a leader, as an authority in your area of expertise, no matter what that is. When you're providing value and you're teaching your audience to think differently, to see your industry differently, to see your opinions on things, to have tips and tools and resources that they can tap into, that means that they are getting a better experience. That's amazing. And it's building that trust consistently. The content that you deliver does need consistency. I'm not telling you to go and post every single day. That would be nice. Of course, that would be nice to be able to just drop content 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And that's what Instagram and Facebook recommend to us. But the realities of that, for so many of us, it's just not possible. Even I don't post every single day, but I'm consistent with how I'm showing up. And that is really, really important. But more than the consistency of when and how you're showing up in the social media space, it's that your content delivers consistency. And this is something to be really mindful of. I walked my clients that did my impact-driven income with me through a process of really going through the layers of building your content themes and the elements. And those that did my audience attraction challenge for Instagram would have it had a small snippet into that experience as well. And I urge every single one of you to go through that experience and setting up what your content themes are, and then what the elements that fall under those content themes are. The reason for that is because it creates consistency with the message that you're sending out there. If you are a coach or a leader in this space, and you're talking about this one particular subject, and then you're inspired all of a sudden to talk about something, and you drop a piece of content that really jolts people into, oh, I had no idea she was thinking this way, or had faith in this particular thing, or what have you, and that doesn't fit into the content themes and elements of your brand, that can actually cause a disconnection with how people are building trust with you, because it doesn't quite gel, it doesn't quite fit. And it's like a little bit of a, oh, hang on, that's not the regular content that we're so used to. So it's the content consistency that I would be way more concerned about than just consistency and showing up every single day on social media. Providing value in that content is important, of course. But the other part of the content and using your leadership in the content space is also engaging with your community. If people are asking you questions, answer them. Use your content to answer. If people are messaging you and you're seeing these certain themes of questions coming through your DMs, use that to inspire content. Answer the questions that are coming through in your content, because I can guarantee you, your audience that are asking that question, there's going to be hundreds of others that are probably wanting to ask the same question, but just don't have the balls to get in your DMs and ask you these questions, or that they might be sitting there thinking it, but they haven't asked or even thought of asking a question of that particular thing. So engaging with your community is a massive part of you utilizing your leadership to really make an impact online. And there are so many ways to do that. Meta, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, give you so many tools now and fun things to engage your community, to ask them questions, to get them to poll. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many different ways that you can really do that. The other thing I want you to think about as well, if you are on the the line of wanting to grow your business from an organic space on social media, that you're just not quite ready to tip over onto that edge of paid advertising, or you just like don't want to do that, which is totally fine. You don't have to. But if you're on that edge of you wanting to grow your business organically, you need to be investing time and energy to engage with your community outside of your own content as well. And I hate it when I see people say, oh, I'm not getting any engagement. I'm not getting people replying to me. I can see absolutely without a doubt when I'm not engaging with my community, with the people I follow, that reflects in the content engagement that I receive, because that's how the algorithms work. It's not so that you just engage with it, so hoping that they come and look at your content. It's a bit trickier than that. But I definitely urge you, even if it's just 15 minutes twice a week, get in there and engage with your community, answer people's questions or ask people questions, reply to comments, get in there and ask questions on other people's content, and really start engaging with the people that you would love to work with. I'm not going to say ideal audience or your client avatar or anything like that, because you probably know my thoughts that in most instances of business, they work really well for us. I don't think that client avatars necessarily are a thing that we should be worrying about when we're in this stage of our business. So just to cover off on that. So this is where we're talking about how to use your leadership. We're talking about how you use promotions to sell your products and services in your content, consistency with the messaging that's coming through with your content, and providing value and engaging with your audience. Now, the other part of building brand trust from a leadership and a personal brand point of view, in this kind of vein here, I talk about the looks, like aesthetically, consistently promoting your brand with your color palette and your just your overall brand aesthetic. It's a huge thing I don't have time for today, but I want you to be mindful that that is something as well that really does build brand trust with your audience, is visually on the online space. People are visually connecting with your content. It's important to set yourself apart from everyone else and to really have a unique experience visually so that you stand out. And there's not a lot of that happening on social media, especially the coaching space. There's a lot of screenshots of people putting notes and things on there. I just not a big fan of all the same that I'm seeing on socials right now. The next layer, so layer 2, going a little bit deeper here, we're talking about your values. And those that work with me get so sick and tired of me asking, what are your brand values? What are your brand values? This comes through in your content regardless, but I really want you to harness this. And if you have an office, your creation station, whatever that looks like, even if it's just the background of your manifestation board, which I always tell people that should be on the background, the screen time on your phone or your iPad or even on your desktop computers, so that people, you can see your manifestation board. Include those brand values in that manifestation board when you're creating it, so that you can be constantly reminded that this is who you are and what you stand for. I love my brand values, and I feel like they do come through quite strongly with the content that I'm putting out there. And the reason why I'm saying that, pick your top 5 values that you want your content and your brand to align to, because it really does make an impact on how people build trust with you. Staying true to your values is a huge component of building trust. Now, if you do have your values and I know what my values are and I stand true to them, I want you to have a look and do like a mini audit of your content and see how those values are coming through in your messaging right now and over the past, let's say, 3 months. I want you to go back and have a really good look and see, is this coming through for me? Because those that have strong values become influential. I'm not talking about becoming an influencer to sell things on social media or to be paid $10,000 for a promotional post. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm not talking about that kind of influence. I'm talking about like this strong mission-driven influence that we are all looking for. Your content aligning to your personal values is huge, huge component of that. And it's definitely an activity I would highly recommend you going through. When you have those values and other people align to that, it becomes a no doubt, no question, hell yes, I'm into this. My doorbell's just ringing. I'm so sorry if you can hear that. So that second layer of staying true to your values is hugely important. And you can actually go out there and create content and say, these are my values. This is what I'm here for. This is what I stand for. And that will get your audience to connect with you on a completely different level. It gets deeper when you have those values out there in the open. I'm constantly talking about mine. My dog's barking. So sorry, guys. The next one. So going that next level into that. So talking about layer 3, speak and create without an agenda. And I feel like when I talk to people, especially those that are struggling with content creation and building engagement and building community, this is a huge layer, a huge chunk of this that they struggle with, a massive one, because it's so part of our unconscious brain that we've been taught to create content and do this and expect this. Having an agenda is a huge part of what a lot of people are doing in the online space. So when you're creating content or you're speaking without an agenda, your audience can feel that, totally feel that. Now, I also want you to think about this in the space where if you're training or you're doing live events or you're in person, you're in customer service, I want you to listen without an agenda as well. And I'm pretty sure you have someone in your life where you know they're just listening to you on the surface so that they know when you finish talking so they can jump in and offer their piece of advice or give their little piece, their little tidbit. Everyone's got those people around them. And if you don't, I'm totally jealous. But you know, like in my sales training, I'm thinking like way back, having flashbacks to sitting in the training room when I was going through my sales training. We talked about, you know, 2 ears, 1 mouth. You may have heard that before, and that's so important. But also, even when we're looking at our social media content, listening to what our audience feels and is experiencing and saying, questions they're asking, we can listen to our audience by just absorbing their content and to look at what they're experiencing, what they're struggling with. It can make a huge impact on the content that we're delivering, and that will also influence the value that we're providing when we're listening, when we're not just creating content of what we want to put out into the world, when we're not just putting content out that we know will sell our program, when we're actually listening to what our audience wants. And most of the time, what they want is not what they think they need at all. So when we're listening and we're doing a really good job of listening, we actually can uncover what we really know they need, not just what they think they need, because it's a completely different thing. Completely. So listening to our audience is a huge part of that. And just spending a little bit of time every now and then just to tap into that experience. And again, it comes into engaging with that community when you can get that. Listening without interrupting is a skill. Obviously, I'm a big talker, so it's hard to even interject into when I'm speaking. And I am learning. It's an evolutionary process that we can really just have those pauses to allow people to be part of that experience when we're talking. That's a huge, huge thing that you can learn to really engage your people when you're speaking in person and events and things like that. But the other sides of this is like when we're creating content, this is a huge thing I want you to think about. Don't create content from the perspective of this will sell my program, or I know this will go viral, or I know this is what my audience wants to see right now. Oh, this is like I want this piece of content to fill my program. Those are agendas. And I'm quite intuitive, and I know that most of my audience are. And humans in general are becoming way more intuitive than they have ever been when it comes to consumer activity. And so when you can feel an agenda is happening underneath something, it feels gross, right? Like, you know, when you sign up to a webinar, that at the end of the webinar, you're going to be sold something. Like, there's going to be something at the end. I don't understand why there isn't any more transparency with that, because people, coaches in particular, think that the audience is stupid, that like they're just here for this hour to learn something and then not be sold to. Let's just be a little bit less agenda driven with our content. I've been saying lately, like, I'm doing the challenges and I've been doing these live events and I've been doing things with literally no agenda whatsoever. I'm not selling anything. I have no plans to launch any programs or anything until next year. And when it comes to that, I will let you know that I have something exciting coming and I'm going to be talking about this particular stuff for the next couple of weeks in preparations to tell you that you need to join it. But you need to join it because I know you're going to have amazing results anyway, regardless. But there is that complete agenda experience that consumers can feel it. Consumers can feel it when you're constantly thinking about what you're going to get out of something. And I love that I can turn up and do these trainings with absolutely no agenda. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I have people come to me after them and say, hey, I would actually like to work with you, or I'd like a session on social media or a social media audit and things like that. I'm not going to sit here and talk about them and promote them, because I don't turn up to these sessions for that reason. I'm just purely here to educate and inspire you to think deeper and to connect with your business more intuitively, and so that you have more success and more experiences in your business that bring you joy. That is what fires me up and gets me excited. The other thing that I think consumers are really switched into now is when people hold back information because they want to sell something. And I'm not sure if I'm wording it the way that my brain is thinking, like this is the thing that happens. So I'm sorry if it doesn't really make sense. It makes sense in my brain, but like, you know, that the people have asked questions and they're like, oh, well, if you want to know that, you'll have to join my program or whatever. It's like, well, you can answer it in 20 seconds. You're not actually coaching them or anything like that, but you're just giving them a quick 20-second rundown of this is what you should be doing, or have a look into this, Google this. There's no reason to hold back information because you want to sell something. People are going to want to work with you regardless of what value and free stuff you put out there, because I absolutely know, with like, there is absolutely no question in my brain that the information I'm giving to you guys, if you were all completely switched on, tapped into it, totally like empowered, and had the history and background of training and certifications that I have, that you could take everything I tell you, implement it, and have the most successful business in the world. But most people don't want to do it alone. Maybe they don't want to, or maybe they can't physically because they don't have the skills to do that. And that's why when people fear, oh, I don't want to give away too much value, because then why would people want to pay for me? It's not about the transaction of information that's happening. It's so much deeper than that when people work with you. So do not hold information back thinking that people aren't going to want to pay and work with you, because that's just not how it works. It's totally energetic and it's a completely different thing. The next layer number 4, again, getting deeper and deeper into these layers. And this one is a short and quick one, but I want you to really think about this. Give credit to others where applicable. This goes into collaborating and celebrating others, not only your community and your audience, but others in your fields as well. Collaboration is huge, and I don't think, like, I don't utilize it enough. I want more hours in my week to be able to do all the things that I implement for my clients, but I love my clients and they get my full attention. You guys get this stuff, and my business, you know, like it's its own thing, but my clients get so much attention, and collaboration is a huge component of that. Giving credit to others and celebrating other brands or experiences when you feel good about things is so important. Sharing content from other creators, even if it's in your same industry, you actually would be surprised by the sales psychology that comes through with trust building in this process. The actual triggers in the brain that go, right, well, this person is sharing someone else's information, but they do something similar. It just builds trust. And it's a crazy thing because they see you as, they don't think that this person is their competition. And that's awesome. That's brave. That's great. There is like just no agenda. with sharing someone else's content. And I'm sure some of you have feared sharing content from other creators before because you're like, oh, I really like that piece of content, but I can't quite share it because it'd probably look weird if I shared it. Just get rid of all of that out of your brain and just share. Tag them. And this goes with anything. Like if you buy something from a local shop, tag the business and share your experience. Or you've been to a cafe, you're working downtown somewhere, tag the business. Because when you are tagging and collaborating with other businesses and other brands, it really does give that sense of collaboration and community. And it allows your audience to see you out there sharing your platform to help others have a bigger and better platform. My sister and I, we're working on this idea at the moment for this amazing, I guess it would be kind of like an online summit experience. And we've got a list of all the amazing people that are in our community that we can't wait to invite to speak. We hope 100% of them say yes. Reality of that's probably not going to be 100%, but we're bringing all of these amazing people to share their expertise. We don't give a shit about competition. It's not about that. It's about providing our community a bigger and better experience so that they can learn and evolve, and getting other humans to use our platform to grow their audience and to have better experiences. It's so exciting. And I love that. So if there's any way that you can start collaborating and celebrating others in your business, that's fantastic. But also, you need to invite people to tag you into things. Like today, I invite you right now, if you're watching this either live or in a replay, take a photo of your computer screen or your phone and tag me in your stories and say that you're watching this. I don't do that enough. I tell my clients to do that every time they're on live, and I never do it myself. But I invite you to do it and make sure it's a good screenshot. Don't have like a crazy face Stacey on there because like tentacles and funny faces. So, invite people to collaborate with you and share as well. It's not just one-sided. You want people to be sharing your message as well. This is all part of it. There's so many different layers, like I said. Oh gosh, I'm totally on time. I'm nailing it today. Yeah, awesome. So good. The next one, our layer 5, is about transparency. Oh, Lisa's taking a photo. I just come up that she was doing that. So hey guys, on Lisa's feed. Number 5 layer is transparency. And I wrote the heading down because this is how I talk to my clients: is admit when you get shit wrong. Huge part of building trust is when things are shit, when things are bad, when things are traumatizing, when things just don't feel good. The more that you share those experiences with your audience, there is that transparency and that trust. Because you are human. You're not just showing the highlight reel. You're not just sharing what's fabulous and what's amazing. There is a point to this as well where you don't want to go past a point of being negative and sharing every terrible experience that you're having in your life, because we've all got those people in our Facebook feeds as well who just overshare and woe is me and everything's bad. I've got no money. This can't break down. I've blah, blah, blah. Like it's so much negativity. I want you to think about how you can share these experiences in a way that educates your audience on why this has been a bad experience for you, but how you can overcome that. Use it as a lesson for your audience, not a way to vent and get things out. Because that's what your girlfriend's for, or your sister. Get on the phone, talk, get it all off your chest. But when it comes to your brand, you want that transparency. You want to be building stories. And you want to be making sure that you're sharing it from a really empowering point of view. That's why I also, when I'm talking about creating sales copy or talking about your programs and your offers, I am very anti-pain point now. I used to talk about it a lot, and I admit that used to be part of my training, but it's not anymore. And I think it's a very important thing to be conscious of, that we, even if you are trauma aware or trauma informed, trauma trained, that pain points don't work like they used to with consumers, and that we need to be leveling up. on the way that we connect with our audience. But the pain points that you are experiencing, if you can flip those to be empowering, share those stories with your audience, it's going to be a great experience. And those layers of trust, it's just beautiful. All those little saps of connection tissue. Awesome. I think it's really empowering when I see, in particular, women who I really look up to being raw and authentic with me. I try and be raw and authentic with you guys as much as possible. Like, things aren't always sunshine and rainbows and amazing in business. And it's important to share that, because if you put yourself up on a pedestal and you're only sharing the good things, it's so much harder to connect with you, because you think, what's wrong with me? Why is she so good? And I'm not good. And I am having all of these issues and blah, blah, blah. I've shared with you guys when I've had to let clients go, when I've offered refunds, like, and I don't want to work with people anymore. I'm like, I've shared all of that stuff. And I love that I can share that, but I'm sharing it from a point of not, oh, business is crap. I'm sharing it from a point of view that you can be empowered to be the CEO of your business and make these hard decisions and do things that make your business fun. There are times when things are crap, like tax time, constantly making people aware that they need to be putting money away for tax, because we've all been there. So it's not about like the woe is me. It's about empowering people with the choices that you didn't have before you came to this particular instance. And now you can help people through finding their way through these things. This also comes with customer service as well. Whether you are in retail, e-com, whether you're a coach, a healer, a leader, your customer service skills are so important. And I was always trained, oh, never admit that you're wrong. Never say sorry, because that admits that you're wrong or that something happened. It admits that it's your fault. Never, ever say sorry. To the point where I became a politician. I'm so sorry that that is the emotion you're experiencing. Oh gosh, I was condescending back in the day. Because that's how I was taught to deal with those issues, those conversations. That's how I was trained to deal with them. But now I'm completely different. I'm just going to talk to people as a human, and I will give facts. I do pare back. And I do like to take emotion out of a lot of the customer service side of things, and I give facts, but I'm also very mindful to think that if it was me in those shoes, how would I feel and how would I want to be dealt with? So transparency with your customer service is hugely important as well. But just think about how you can give that transparency within your customer service and your onboarding, your offboarding, all of those experiences that people have with you. That's a massive one. And the last layer. Now we're down real deep at layer 6. And this is one I see people fail with so much, to the point where I unfollow a lot of people when this happens. And it happens a lot. Is undertaking your audience goals versus your own personal goals. And this goes to the results as well. If you are constantly sharing your success and your results in your business, and this is a particular type of way this content is being put together, then your audience kind of disconnects from it, because they might feel like it's not achievable for them. They don't understand how it could fit into their business or how they could do it. There's so many different layers to how you can share your results well and how you can share them where it feels disengaging to your audience. Now, there are people that I've loved that all of a sudden get this boost of serotonin from the results and the money they're earning. And then all of a sudden it's like they're sharing constantly, this is the money that I'm earning. I'm so fantastic. You need to work with me. This is what I'm doing. And it's really off-putting, so I unfollow. And I'm sure you've probably had that experience as well. I always think about my audience. I'm never concerned with my own personal goals when it comes to creating content or just creating programs or offers or anything like that. I'm never, ever connected to what my personal goal is. Goal setting is a whole, topic of discussion on its own. That's fine. But when we're talking about in our content, this is content more specific. If you're constantly talking about your personal goals and your personal achievements, and you're not celebrating your clients or your audience achievements, or focusing in on their goals, then there is going to be that disconnect. I use that word a lot, disconnect, because it's visually what I see. There's little connective tissues, they disconnect. Really important to focus on your audience's goals. What will they need? And this goes with sales conversations as well. I always go into sales conversations thinking, how can I leave this person better than how they started the call? I don't give a shit if they join my program, they decide to work with me, they take up my proposal. I don't give a shit. I want them to be better after this, with the experience with me, than they were when they began. And same with my masterclasses. I couldn't care less at this point if you wanted to work with me one-on-one. My whole goal of this is to leave you with information and empower you with the awareness so that you can make decisions and change things in your business. I want you to leave this session better than when you began. It's the whole vibe of everything I do. And a lot of people don't think that way when they're creating content. They talk about themselves and what they've achieved. I mean, it comes into a discussion about money as well. I don't talk about what I earn on social media. I've polled my audience. I've engaged with you guys. I've asked you what you want to learn. And most of the time, everyone says they feel ick when they learn, like, oh, I had a 20K month this month, blah, blah, blah. I've earned this many millions this year so far. I'm deeply connected to the impact that people are making with that. I want to know how they've helped their audience and their clients have results. I could not care less how that transforms into money for them. And so I feel like that's how I talk about my content as well. I don't talk about my financial achievements and goals and all of that sort of stuff, but I'm constantly thinking, how can I share the amazing things my clients have done? How can I share that they've filled their masterclasses and their programs? Everyone took up a VIP experience and sold out, that they had a goal of this many people to join their offer, and then 150 people joined and it blew their mind. To me, those are much better experiences to share with my audience than, oh, hey, I earned this much money this month. And this is how you can do the same thing, when it doesn't really relate to how they actually made the money. There's so much of that going on out there. And this all comes back to storytelling training. Hands up if anyone's actually done storytelling and brand story training previously. I have, and I love it, and I cannot get enough of it. I will relearn storytelling from a brand point of view over and over, because there's always so much more to learn. Everyone always uses the analogy of Star Wars with Yoda and Luke. I don't watch it, so I don't really know it very well. But I tend to take on Harry Potter, of course. When we're talking about creating stories for our brand, the influence, are not the hero of the story under any circumstance. When we're talking about building stories for our brand and our message and our content, your audience is always the hero. Always. Because they need to see themselves as the hero for them to go through this journey, feel like they've been taken care of, and have a result at the end that brings them a happy ending. So storytelling for your brand is a huge tool that you can learn. And I highly recommend everyone learn this skill, because it will transform how you tell stories, how you create content. And if you want me to teach some of this, I totally can. As you know, put your hand up, send me a message, write in the comments section that you would like to learn more about storytelling and brand storytelling. I love teaching it. But I want you to think about your audience as being the Harry Potter. They're the ones that have this issue that they need to overcome. They've got Voldemort, he who shall not be named, right in front of them. So that's their obstacle. This is the thing that they need to overcome to have success in their life or their business. You are their Dumbledore. You are there to help them, give them the tools and resources, the knowledge, the mentorship to help them overcome these things so they get to the end and have a result. So I like to think of myself as more Dumbledore than Yoda. You could also be Hagrid if you wanted to be. But always think of yourself from that point of view. Because when you are taking that step back and you're putting your audience at the forefront of everything that you do, all your messaging, all the goals, all the results, all the successes, they see that and they feel that. It becomes a completely different experience as a brand when that happens. And that's a very, very valid thing to be processing when you're thinking about writing things, even blog posts, doing video trainings, all of those sorts of things. It's really important. You're not up on this pedestal. You're lifting your audience up to that pedestal. It's a whole vibe. It's a cool vibe. It's a good vibe. Love it. Good things. So those are the 6 layers of building trust. How you use your leadership and your authority, staying true to your values, speaking without agendas, giving credit and collaborations, transparency and admitting when you get it wrong, and undertaking your goals for your audience versus your own goals, and celebrating your audience, that brand storytelling. 6 huge layers of information, knowledge that you can now take and start looking at how you express that in your own business. How can you show up and build trust every single day with your audience? Like I said, every single facet of the things that I've spoken about today, I could deep dive well and truly into and give you more information and how you can implement and some tools and resources and give you some tasks on how to do that. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know, because I would love to have that opportunity to go deeper. But as we know, these masterclasses, we try to keep them at an hour so that they're nice and easy and quick to absorb. It's been an absolute honor talking to you guys today. Whether you're here watching live or you're going to check back in the replay, let me know. I'm going to engage with absolutely any question that comes through. So please don't feel like because you're watching this replay, even if it's 6 months ago and you're watching this in 2023 at some random point when this is just in the archives or it's been uploaded somewhere and you've seen it, feel free to message me or write a comment below. I'm going to engage with it. I'm going to be here. I'm not just a post and ghoster, but I've really loved taking you through this experience, and I would love to know what questions you do have, because I would love to just take that a little bit further and help you through it. But for today, I'm going to leave it there. I thank you for your time, and I will see you all very, very soon. I have at least another 12 masterclasses planned for you. So keep an eye out for those coming up soon. See you guys.